people united will never be defeated. Our people united will never be defeated. Our people united will never be defeated.
Hey guys, I'm Carrie Twigg. We all know the world is messed up, whether it's Trump's latest lie, mass incarceration, environmental destruction, or racist drug laws. There's a whole lot to be outraged about. It can leave you feeling pretty helpless, but you can make a difference, and I'm here to tell you how, issue by issue. I've worked in the Obama White House, on several political campaigns, full disclosure, all for Democrats, and in the nonprofit world trying to get people like us to care more about politics, all to get elected officials to look at, understand, and work for people like us. I'm here today to talk about climate change and voting. When it comes to climate change, young people know what's going on. And a survey of millennials from around the world found that more than 9 out of 10 of us, 91%, understand that humans are responsible for our changing environment. Why is this so important? Well, because we are a generation that overwhelmingly believes that climate change is impacted directly by our choices, we are also likely to embrace solutions that will actually work. Even young people who identify as Republican are much more supportive of clean energy like wind, more firmly against expanding fossil fuel extraction, and more concerned about the lack of protection for the natural world than older members of the GOP. Young voters of any party are twice as likely as older ones to care deeply about the environment. In a Pew Research Center survey from this year, 2/3 of people between 18 and 29 said protecting the environment should be a top priority for the federal government. But what does all this have to do with this year's midterm elections? Well, the number of young people registering and actually voting is consistently increasing. So it only makes sense that because we have the strongest feelings about environmental issues, we want those concerns to be reflected in what our elected officials actually do. It's not only young people who want a healthy environment, of course. The majority of Americans say the federal government is not doing enough to protect our water or air, or to address climate change. And for people of color especially, climate change and environmental protection are pressing issues in this year's elections. Let's look at some specifics. In Florida, where Black folks make up almost 14% of the voting age population, they are over 18% more likely than whites to list the environment and climate as top priorities. We talked in previous episodes about everything happening in Florida. We discussed the potential to elect the state's first African-American governor, Andrew Gillum, and we heard from the young leaders of March for Our Lives, who emerged from a tragedy in their home state and are now holding leaders around the country accountable for changing gun laws. The people of Florida are poised to bring us massive change in the years ahead. Another state that stands out is Nevada, where Latinos comprise almost 1/5 of the voting population. They are 10% more likely than whites to prioritize environmental protections. And for these voters, it's not just about politics. 67% of Latinos, compared to just half of whites, said their lives would be personally harmed if nothing was done to reduce global warming. Overall, Latino, Black, and Asian voters are significantly more likely than whites to prioritize the environment. When it comes to climate change, the data are even more striking. 70% of Latinos and 56% of Blacks believe the Earth is getting warmer because of human activity, compared to just 44% of whites. There's no clear answer to why these disparities exist, but no matter why, the actual numbers demonstrate that the stereotype that the only people who care about the environment are wealthy and white couldn't be further from the truth. It's obvious that climate justice is social justice. We have already seen that some of the major activist moments from over the past few years have centered around issues at the intersection of the environment and racism. The protests against the pipeline at Standing Rock, the water crisis in Flint, Michigan, and the aftermath of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. But ultimately, we need to do more than just react when there's an impending crisis or after a storm has taken its toll. We need to proactively work together to support elected officials and organizations that are taking these issues seriously and implementing meaningful solutions that get us on the path toward changing outcomes. It's clear that people of color and young people are the two groups most consistently supportive of environmental protection. So as we get closer to the election, make sure you understand the important role that your vote will play in determining the future of our planet. How you participate in the election process has real impact on whether we have clean air and water, how or if we recover from increasingly dangerous and strong storms, and what we do to save our rapidly warming planet. Voting is always important, always, but it's not an exaggeration to say it's more important than ever. The country and the world are changing rapidly, and the challenges are growing more complex and urgent. There has never been a time where young people have been more powerful. There are more of us. Next year, millennials are expected to become the largest living adult generation. We have access to more information and resources than ever before, and have tools that allow us to share our own stories. We can actually decide to live in a different kind of world, but it all starts with getting informed and then getting involved. Thank you so much for watching. For Complex News, I'm Carrie Twig.